Hello everyone, my name is Alexey, and today we are going to talk about another live coding interview task. It's pretty common when an interviewer wants to check if you know how to interact with DOM elements using native JavaScript API. And the basic task could be, for example, implement basic timer using only vanilla JavaScript. In this video, I will explain how to solve these types of questions, and I will give you an advice for way of thinking. So, please like, and let's move to the practice. Let me briefly explain you the task. The task is to implement a simple timer in vanilla JavaScript. We have an existing HTML layout, the idea to create a timer. When we click start, timer should start and we see counting in display every second and start button transform to pause. So we can click pause and timer will pause. Then we can click resume and timer will continue counting. And stop button will stop the timer and reset the display to initial value of 0. Let's implement it. Okay, let's start to solve our task, and firstly we need to define all required variables to manipulate with our display, with our start button and with our stop button. So firstly we need to create const display equals to document get element by ID, and here we need to provide element ID, it will be display. The same thing we need to do with start button, it will be start, and the same thing with stop button, it will be stop. Then we need to define two functions which will be responsible for handling our start and for handling our stop clicks. So when we will click start and stop, this function will be executed. So it will be function, so const handle click, handle start click. It will be an arrow function. And then we will have also arrow function, and it will be handle stop click. Then we have to define event listeners for these buttons. We will listen for click event on these buttons and will execute these functions. So start button, add event listener, so start button, add event listener, click, so we will track click event, and here we need to provide handle start click function. And the same thing with stop, so command D for copying this line, and stop button, add event listener click, handle stop click. So it's our main structure for start of our task. So doing this, you will have an overview how it will be, and also when you will write it, you could also think about logic inside handle start click and handle stop click functions. So that's it, and let's fill our functions with logic and start create our timer. Firstly, we need to think about global entities, global variables, which will be accessed by handle stop click and handle start click. So it will be interval and timer. Why interval? Let's define it. So we will set interval, assign it to set interval with handle start click. And then we have to clear this interval with global function clear interval in handle stop click. So we need to define it in global scope. Then we have to define timer, because our timer will count seconds one by one, and we will start in handle start click. Also we will resume by calling this function, and also in handle stop click we will assign it to initial value of 0. Yes, we have to define this variable, so let timer equals to 0, so it will be our initial value, and then we can start writing of our handle start click function. Nice, let's write our logic to handle start click function, and let's write our logic to start button. So start button will have different states and we need to distinguish them. So it will have start, then it can have pause and it can have resume. And interesting thing is that if we will have start or pause on this button, we need to execute one logic. So we need to change our text content of this button to pause, and we need to start an interval. And let's write this logic. Interesting thing is that we don't have any attributes here, so we have here an ID and our text content, so we will bound to text content. Maybe you need to write better code, but I will do this for now because it's more faster. So if start button text content equals to start, or start button text content equals to resume, what we need to do? We need to start our timer and change our text content of this button to pause. So start button text content equals to pause. Then we need to start our interval. So interval will be equal to set interval. So from set interval we will receive an ID, and then we can clear this ID and pause our timer. So set interval, we will execute some callback every 1000 milliseconds. So every 1 second we will execute this function, and inside this function we will have simple logic. We will increment our timer, so timer +1, and then we will update our view. So display text content equals to timer. Yes? And then we need to write logic for the last state. It's pause. So else, so if it's not start, it's not resume, it's paused. We need to clear interval. This means that we will just stop executing our interval, and we need to change our text content of start button to resume. Let's do it. Clear interval. So it's a built-in function, interval, and then we need to change text content of start button to resume. And that's it. We now have logic for our start button. So we can start our timer. It will be started. We will see updated number here. We can pause it, and we have an ability to resume our timer. So it works. It just works, and we bound build logic for it. Cool. And we need somehow to deal with stop click. Let's write logic for our handle stop click function. Nice. Let's fill the body of our handle stop click function. And in this function, we need just to reset our timer to initial state. So what we need to do? We need to clear our interval, set our text of start button to start, reset our display, so just need to reset text content to 0, just reset our timer and set it to 0. Cool, that's it. And it's just a couple of lines of code. So firstly, it will be clear interval, and we need just pass here an interval. Then we need to change the text content of our start button to start. And then we need to set our display text content to 0. And then we need to reset our timer and set the value to 0. That's it. And then let's test our timer. Nice, let's refresh and let's test out all features of our timer. So we can click start and our values will start to increment. Then we can click pause and incrementing will be stopped. Then we can click resume and our timer will continue to increment values. And then we can click stop and reset our timer to initial state. So we implemented timer using plain JavaScript, and that's pretty amazing. It's a basic interview task and it was implemented through a couple of functions. Now I want to give you some advice to complete the live coding tasks in more success way. Firstly, comment all your actions. On the one hand, you will avoid of awkward lines during completing the task. On the other hand, your interviewers will have deeply understand what you are doing and your ways of thinking. Secondly, in the end, you can also propose to refactor your code. For example, in our mini application, we can separate text contents like start, stop, and resume to enums, etc. If you will follow the aforementioned advice, you will probably succeed and you will be successful on the background of other candidates. In my practice, I had a lot of similar tasks and I commented them, maybe had clarifying questions to interviewers, and I helped interviewers to make sure of my knowledge and had success. That's it. So please like, subscribe, stay tuned, please follow my Telegram channel, please check the description, and bye.